The atmosphere on Kelly Clarkson's show started light and playful, the kind of warm energy viewers expect when a celebrity chef walks onto the set with a smile and a joke ready. Gordon Ramsay greeted the audience with confidence, trading laughs with Kelly as they teased his fiery reputation. At first, everything felt rehearsed and safe, a friendly exchange designed to entertain. But beneath the laughter, there was a subtle tension, an edge in Ramsay's responses that hinted something deeper was brewing just below the surface. As the conversation shifted toward Gordon's career, Kelly casually brought up his reputation for explosive temper on cooking shows. The audience laughed, expecting a humorous response, but Ramsay's expression changed slightly. He smiled, yet his eyes told a different story, signaling discomfort. He explained how years of being labeled angry had overshadowed his work ethic and passion. What began as a joke slowly transformed into a more serious discussion, and the room's energy shifted noticeably. Kelly, trying to keep the mood upbeat, pushed a little further, asking whether that anger was real or just an act for television. Ramsay leaned back, crossed his arms, and answered carefully at first. He spoke about pressure, expectations, and how television edits moments to create drama. His voice remained calm, but his words carried weight. The audience sensed the shift, realizing this was no longer a light interview but a raw moment unfolding live. The tension intensified when Kelly mentioned critics who believe Ramsay's behavior encourages toxic work environments. That question landed hard. Gordon's jaw tightened, and he paused longer than usual before responding. He defended his standards, explaining that discipline in kitchen saves lives and livelihoods. His tone grew sharper, less playful, as if he felt misunderstood. The laughter faded, replaced by an uneasy silence that echoed across the studio. Kelly attempted to clarify, saying she admired his success but wanted to understand the criticism. Ramsay interrupted, his voice rising just a notch. He insisted that people who never worked in high-pressure kitchens shouldn't judge what they don't understand. The interruption surprised everyone. Kelly blinked, momentarily caught off guard, while the audience leaned forward, sensing a confrontation unfolding in real time. Gordon continued, describing long nights, burnt hands, and crushing responsibility. He spoke of young chefs depending on him for guidance, not cruelty. His words came faster now, fueled by emotion. Kelly nodded, trying to regain control of the conversation, but Ramsay was on a roll. The usual polished rhythm of the talk show slipped away as raw honesty took center stage. When Kelly gently tried to steer the conversation back, Ramsay bristled. He felt boxed into a narrative he had battled for years. His frustration spilled over, and his trademark bluntness took charge. He questioned why his passion was always framed as rage, while similar behavior in other industries was praised. The audience murmured softly, unsure whether to clap or stay silent. Kelly responded by reminding him that viewers only see what's shown on screen. That comment struck a nerve. Ramsay leaned forward, pointing slightly as he spoke. He argued that producers shape stories, sometimes at the expense of truth. His voice grew louder, echoing across the set. What was meant to be an insightful discussion now felt like a heated debate unfolding without filters. The host's smile faded as she tried to calm the exchange. She acknowledged his points but emphasized her role in asking questions viewers care about. Ramsay shook his head, frustration clearly visible. He insisted he was tired of defending himself. The air felt heavy, as if everyone knew this moment would be talked about long after the episode aired. Gordon's tone sharpened further as he described the toll constant judgment takes on his family. He spoke about his children seeing headlines painting him as a monster. That personal revelation silenced the room. Even Kelly looked genuinely moved. For a brief moment, it seemed the confrontation might soften into understanding, but the emotional floodgates had already opened. Kelly apologized if the question felt unfair, but Ramsay was no longer satisfied with polite reassurances. He stressed that being passionate doesn't mean being abusive. His words carried a mix of anger and vulnerability. The audience, torn between sympathy and shock, remained unusually quiet, fully aware they were witnessing an unscripted moment rarely seen on daytime television. The chef's voice cracked slightly as he spoke about his journey from humble beginnings to global fame. He explained how criticism followed him at every step. Kelly attempted to empathize, sharing her own experiences with public scrutiny. For a second, it seemed like common ground was forming, but Ramsay's frustration still simmered beneath the surface. Suddenly, Gordon stood up from his chair. The movement startled everyone. He said he didn't come to be the judge yet again. Kelly looked genuinely surprised, quickly standing as well, trying to de-escalate the situation. The band fell silent, cameras awkwardly adjusting as producers scrambled behind the scenes. Ramsay paced slightly, hands on his hips, clearly struggling to contain his emotions. He stated that he respected Kelly but couldn't continue a conversation that felt like an interrogation. His words echoed across the studio. The audience gasped softly, realizing this wasn't part of the show's plan. Kelly reached out verbally, asking him to sit and talk it through. Her voice was calm, almost pleading. Ramsay paused, visibly torn. For a brief moment, it looked like he might sit back down. Instead, he shook his head, exhaling deeply, as if releasing years of bottled frustration. Gordon explained that he values honesty but refuses to be reduced to a caricature. He thanked the audience for their support, his tone firm but controlled. Kelly nodded, respecting his feelings even as the show slipped further off script. The tension was thick, every second stretching longer than it should on live television. Ramsay turned toward Kelly and said he appreciated the platform but needed to protect his integrity. His words weren't shouted, yet they carried power. Kelly responded softly, saying she understood and meant no harm. The exchange felt painfully human, a clash of perspectives rather than egos. With one last glance at the audience, Gordon said he hoped people would look beyond the edited clips and headlines. He emphasized that passion drives excellence, not anger. His voice steadied, but the decision was clear. He was done. The audience remained frozen, unsure how to react. Gordon walked toward the stage exit, the sound of his footsteps loud in the silence. Kelly stood still, watching him go, her expression a mix of concern and professionalism. The band hesitated, uncertain whether to play. It was a moment of television history forming right before everyone's eyes. As he disappeared backstage, murmurs rippled through the audience. Kelly turned back to the cameras, taking a deep breath. She addressed viewers directly, acknowledging the intensity of the moment. Her voice remained composed, but the shock was evident. She emphasized respect and understanding, even when conversations become difficult. Backstage reports later suggested Ramsay was visibly emotional, not angry but drained. Crew members described a man exhausted by years of public misunderstanding. The confrontation, while fiery, wasn't fueled by ego but by frustration. It revealed a side of Gordon rarely seen, stripped of television bravado. Social media exploded within minutes of the episode airing. Clips circulated rapidly, sparking debates about media narratives and celebrity pressure. Some viewers defended Kelly's questions, while others applauded Ramsay for standing up for himself. The moment became a lightning rod for broader discussions about fame and authenticity. Industry insiders weighed in, noting how rare it is for a guest to walk off a friendly daytime show. Many praised Kelly's calm handling of the situation. Others sympathized with Ramsay's raw honesty. The incident blurred the line between entertainment and reality, reminding viewers that celebrities are human too. Fans of Gordon expressed support, sharing stories of his mentorship and kindness behind the scenes. Former contestants spoke about his tough love approach, defending his methods. The narrative surrounding his temper suddenly felt more complex, layered with context many had never considered before. Kelly addressed the incident in later interviews, reiterating her respect for Ramsay. She explained that her questions were never meant to attack but to explore perspectives. Her transparency earned praise, showing professionalism even under unexpected pressure. Gordon, days later, released a brief statement thanking fans for their understanding. He emphasized the importance of honest conversations but acknowledged emotions can sometimes run high. His words were measured, reflective, and calm, contrasting sharply with the intensity viewers had witnessed. Media analysts dissected the confrontation, calling it a defining moment in daytime television. It showcased the risks of live, unscripted dialogue and the power of authenticity. The clip continued to trend, drawing millions of views and countless opinions. For many viewers, The moment humanized both Gordon and Kelly. It showed that even polished professionals can clash when emotions surface. The confrontation wasn't about winning an argument but about being heard, a theme that resonated deeply with audiences worldwide. The incident ultimately sparked conversations about how media frames personalities and the responsibility hosts and producers carry. It challenged viewers to look beyond sound bites and consider the full picture. In that sense, the fiery moment achieved something rare: genuine reflection. Long after the episode ended, the image of Gordon Ramsay walking off the set lingered, not as a symbol of anger, but of a man drawing a boundary. It was a reminder that behind every public persona lies a real person, navigating pressure, expectations, and the desire to be understood. In the days that followed, entertainment news outlets replayed the moment repeatedly, slowing down every pause, every glance, every shift in tone. Commentators debated whether Gordon's reaction was justified or excessive, while others questioned if the conversation should have been framed differently from the start. What stood out most was how quickly a routine interview transformed into a cultural talking point, exposing how fragile the balance between curiosity and confrontation can be on live television. Behind the scenes, sources claimed producers were stunned by how fast the situation escalated. Segments are usually mapped out carefully, but this exchange slipped beyond anyone's control. Staff members reportedly exchanged worried looks as Ramsay stood up, knowing there was no easy way to cut away without making the moment even more dramatic. It became a lesson in how authenticity, while powerful, can derail even the most polished formats. Viewers at home described feeling conflicted as they watched. Some felt uncomfortable witnessing such raw emotion during a daytime show meant for light entertainment. Others appreciated the honesty, saying it felt refreshing to see a celebrity refuse to play along with a familiar narrative. The divide reflected a broader audience struggle between wanting transparency and expecting comfort from television personalities. Former colleagues of Ramsay spoke out, recalling moments where his intensity pushed them to excel rather than shrink. They argued that his passion had always been misinterpreted by those who never experienced the demanding environment of professional kitchens. These testimonies added depth to the conversation, challenging the simplified image that had dominated public perception for years. Meanwhile, supporters of Kelly Clarkson emphasized her role as a host tasked with asking difficult questions. They praised her calm demeanor and refusal to escalate the situation further. Many pointed out that she never raised her voice or dismissed Gordon's feelings, instead trying repeatedly to validate his experience while keeping the show moving forward. Media psychologists weighed in, suggesting the confrontation highlighted the emotional toll of long-term public scrutiny. Being constantly defined by a single trait, especially a negative one, can wear down even the most resilient individuals. Ramsay's reaction, they argued, wasn't a sudden eruption but the release of accumulated frustration built over decades. Online discussions soon expanded beyond the two celebrities involved. Fans began sharing personal stories of being misunderstood or boxed into stereotypes at work and in life. The clip became a mirror for many, reflecting how easily society labels passion as aggression and firmness as cruelty, especially when context is stripped away. Late-night hosts referenced the moment with caution, acknowledging its seriousness rather than turning it into a punchline. This restraint signaled how impactful the incident had been. It wasn't just another viral clip but a reminder that live television still has the power to reveal unfiltered truth, for better or worse. Industry veterans noted that moments like these often become defining chapters in a celebrity's public narrative. For Gordon, it added vulnerability to his image. For Kelly, it reinforced her professionalism under pressure. Both emerged altered, their personas slightly reshaped by a single unscripted exchange. As weeks passed, the intensity around the incident slowly cooled, but the conversation it sparked continued. Articles explored how reality television edits behavior to fit storylines, questioning how much audiences truly see. Ramsay's words about manipulation and narrative control resonated, prompting renewed skepticism towards sensationalized portrayals. Fans revisiting old episodes of Ramsay's shows began noticing nuances they previously overlooked. Moments of mentorship, humor, and care stood out alongside the fiery critiques. The confrontation seemed to encourage a more balanced viewing lens, urging audiences to look for complexity rather than extremes. Kelly Clarkson's show, meanwhile, received praise for not censoring the moment. By allowing it to air, the producers preserved its authenticity. Many felt this decision respected viewers' intelligence, trusting them to interpret the exchange without heavy-handed editing or damage control. Gordon's continued success in his ventures showed that the walk-off did not harm his career. If anything, it reignited interest in his story beyond the stereotype. Interviews that followed were noticeably more reflective, with Ramsay choosing his words carefully, emphasizing growth, balance, and perspective. The incident gradually shifted from controversy to case study, discussed in media courses and journalism circles. It illustrated the risks inherent in live formats and the importance of empathy when navigating sensitive topics. It also underscored how quickly power dynamics can shift when a guest refuses to conform. Ultimately, the fiery confrontation became more than a dramatic headline. It stood as a moment of truth, revealing the emotional weight carried by public figures and the responsibility shared by hosts, producers, and audiences alike. Long after the noise faded, the lesson remained clear: real conversations are messy, unpredictable, and sometimes uncomfortable, but they are also necessary. In the months following the incident, Ramsay made a few rare public appearances where he addressed the walk-off with a bit more distance and humor. He acknowledged the emotional toll of that particular day, admitting that it caught him off guard. However, he also spoke about how it ultimately opened doors for deeper, more honest conversations with his audience. He was careful, though, to emphasize that it wasn't something he would repeat, not because he regretted his reaction, but because it revealed a side of him he didn't often show. Meanwhile, Kelly Clarkson became a frequent subject of analysis in the media, with many praising her ability to handle such an unexpected moment with grace. Articles were written about her emotional intelligence as a host, pointing out how her calmness under pressure was a testament to her professional training. Kelly herself said in an interview that while the incident was difficult, it reminded her that sometimes real moments of connection happen when things aren't scripted or planned. The incident also sparked a broader conversation in the entertainment industry about how talk shows, which often rely on lighthearted and safe content, can fail to acknowledge the emotional labor their guests sometimes carry. Celebrities are often expected to be performative, to fit neatly into a box that suits the audience's expectations. Ramsay's outburst, though controversial, made clear the limitations of this kind of framing, with many applauding him for challenging the notion of celebrity as a uniform brand. As viewers reflected on the clash between Gordon and Kelly, some pointed out that the way Ramsay reacted was more in line with what happens when someone is pushed to their limits. It wasn't just about the questions, it was about years of being misunderstood and misrepresented. There was an underlying realization that as much as we demand from public figures, they too are human and have boundaries that deserve respect. The walk-off ultimately served as a moment of catharsis for many of Gordon's fans, who felt they had been witnessing a persona crafted by media rather than a true reflection of the man behind the fame. It brought to light the question of whether we, as an audience, should continue to celebrate oversimplified characterizations of people in the public eye or start giving room for complexity and nuance. Gordon Ramsay later appeared in a rare joint interview with some of his past contestants, in which he discussed the real meaning behind his tough love approach. He expressed how proud he was of the young chefs who had learned and grown under his guidance, emphasizing that discipline in the kitchen was about respect, not rage. This more intimate setting allowed fans to see another side of the celebrity chief, a side less focused on fiery critiques and more on mentorship and care. As for Kelly, the interview, while difficult, became one of the most talked about moments of her career. Viewers praised her vulnerability in acknowledging how uncomfortable the situation was. She also expressed gratitude for the conversation afterward, stating that it reminded her why she chose to host such shows in the first place, to create a space for authentic connection, even when it's hard. Fans online started to form new narratives around the moment, framing it as a necessary disruption in the celebrity ecosystem. Rather than focusing on who was right or wrong, many began discussing the importance of allowing celebrities to express their full spectrum of emotions, to something that is often overlooked in the pursuit of entertainment. The walk-off became a symbol of authenticity in a world that often values control over chaos. The impact of this confrontation wasn't limited to just Gordon Ramsay and Kelly Clarkson. Industry professionals, from producers to publicists, began to reevaluate the way they handle their talent, particularly those who have strong personalities. There was a growing recognition that authenticity should not be sacrificed for the sake of a smooth, predictable show. This shift in mindset led to a broader dialogue about the ethical responsibility of entertainment creators to protect the mental and emotional well-being of their guests. Months later, when discussing the aftermath of the interview, Gordon Ramsay reflected on the media's portrayal of the incident, commenting that it was the first time in years that he had truly been able to express himself without the fear of being misquoted or misrepresented. While he still acknowledged the necessity of self-control in public, he emphasized that the moment was about more than just his anger. It was a release of years of built-up frustration over public perceptions of his character. On the flip side, Kelly Clarkson used the event as a learning experience for her future interviews. She became more mindful of the topics she broached with her guests, aware that some conversations might unintentionally cross a line. She was also more open to exploring the complexities of her guests' lives, giving them the space to share the raw, unfiltered truth. The exchange became a symbol of the growing trend of celebrities confronting and reclaiming their narratives. As the entertainment industry became more aware of the mental health challenges that celebrities face, discussions around boundaries, respect, and emotional labor started to gain more prominence. The Gordon Ramsay-Kelly Clarkson confrontation was one such catalyst for a shift in how the media treated stars, and no longer just as performers, but as people with their own struggles, frustrations, and personal stories. In interviews that followed, Gordon expressed a sense of liberation after the event. He admitted that for years, he had been walking a tightrope between maintaining his public persona and staying true to who he was. The incident allowed him to redefine what it meant to be both a celebrity and a human being, no longer trapped by a script or a manufactured image. The walk-off was a powerful reminder that even in the world of high-stakes television, authenticity could reign supreme. Fans and critics alike began to see the interview as an opportunity to reflect on the nature of public interviews in general. Is it fair to expect celebrities to open up about deeply personal or difficult subjects, or should they be allowed to maintain their privacy? This broader conversation began to affect how future interviews were framed, with many hosts opting for a more empathetic and understanding approach. Ultimately, the Gordon Ramsay-Kelly Clarkson showdown became one of those rare moments in television where reality broke through the polished surface. It served as a reminder that even in the world of entertainment, truth is often messier than we expect. But in embracing that mess, we might just find the kind of honesty that is desperately needed in a world saturated with carefully curated personas. In the aftermath, Gordon Ramsay's fan base began to reflect more deeply on his career and the pressures that come with being in the public eye. Longtime fans who admired his unapologetic nature rallied behind him, expressing support for his willingness to challenge the typical celebrity expectations. For many, the incident humanized him in ways that previous scripted moments never could. It wasn't just about his temper, it was about his fight for authenticity in a world that thrives on caricatures. Kelly Clarkson, too, saw a surge in support, particularly from fans who appreciated her honesty and composure during the confrontation. Many noted that her ability to stay calm in such an uncomfortable situation showcased her strength as an interviewer, reinforcing her position as a respected figure in the talk show world. Her fans praised her vulnerability in admitting that she, too, was caught off guard and uncomfortable, demonstrating that even hosts aren't immune to the pressures of live television. Industry insiders began to discuss the lasting impact of such moments. The Gordon Ramsay-Kelly Clarkson interaction wasn't just a fleeting viral incident. It sparked a broader reflection on the ethics of live interviews and the humanization of public figures. Wasn't fair to treat celebrities like commodities for entertainment purposes. The public began to question whether the industry's standard approach to interviews needed a complete overhaul, one that focused more on the emotional well-being of its subjects. As the media continued to dissect the exchange, some began calling for a shift in how the industry deals with mental health. The discussions surrounding Ramsay's walk-off highlighted how easily people celebrities included can be pushed to their breaking points. This moment became a rallying cry for greater awareness around the emotional toll of fame and a more compassionate approach to the way public figures are treated. Gordon Ramsay, in particular, became more vocal about the importance of mental health awareness. He began incorporating discussions about self-care and emotional resilience into his public appearances. By acknowledging his vulnerability, he empowered others to confront their own struggles. His public statements following the incident emphasized that emotional strength doesn't come from silence or suppression but from the courage to speak up when things get tough. In later interviews, Ramsay would often refer back to the Kelly Clarkson moment, explaining that it was a turning point for him. The outburst, while uncomfortable, gave him a new perspective and a kind of legacy he wanted to leave. It wasn't about being the angriest chef or the most intense personality it was about being remembered as someone who made a real impact, both in the kitchen and in the conversations about mental health that followed. The incident also prompted a wave of conversations surrounding the portrayal of strong personalities in media. It sparked debate about how individuals with dominant traits, whether they be passion, authority, or intensity, are often unfairly painted in a negative light. As Ramsay's outburst was deconstructed, many saw it not as an explosion of anger but as a necessary act of standing up for oneself against years of misrepresentation. As for Kelly Clarkson, her handling of the incident became a case study in how to navigate uncomfortable situations in a professional environment. Her ability to acknowledge her guests' feelings without escalating the situation was praised by media experts. It set a new standard for how hosts might handle confrontations moving forward, choosing empathy over entertainment and human connection over sensationalism. Fans and critics alike found themselves revisiting the entire conversation, analyzing not just what was said but how it was said. The walk-off became a symbol of the struggle for respect in an industry that often rewards drama over depth. In this sense, it wasn't just about Gordon Ramsay's frustration or Kelly Clarkson's role as a host. It was about the larger conversation surrounding the expectations placed on celebrities and the humanity that often gets lost in the process. As time went on, the Gordon Ramsay-Kelly Clarkson confrontation became more than just a moment of television drama. It became a milestone in the ongoing dialogue about authenticity, celebrity, and the complexities of public life. What was once seen as a fiery outburst now stood as a testament to the courage it takes to challenge the status quo, both on television and in the world at large. The incident would be remembered not for the conflict itself, but for the much-needed conversations it sparked about how we define, treat, and understand our public figures.